BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
Who?
BSing with
What?
BSing with Sean K. BSing with
All right, so
Sean
happy
K.
2022. This is BSing with Sean K. I'm your host, Sean Kneese, and I got a new background. It's kind of I mean, you can't see it unless you're watching the video, but I guess it's got kind of like a Tolkien feel a little bit now, that like one of the places they'd like discover in the woods or something like that kind of. Yeah, but it's a neat background. Usually did the outer space one, but anyway, on this show I talk with artists and people, other people pursuing their passions, and just like have kind of a back and forth conversation and talk to them about their craft and also like their views on the world. And it's just BSing basically. And today my guest is Angela Grams, and she's a guitarist and musician. You do solo music too, right? And you're also I'm in a band with her now, Pinkman and the Brain. We're like a jam band, and you're also doing a thrash metal band. And I also know you like black metal, and you do like Dissection covers. I know like some of the metalheads listening will know who they are. Dissection, they're from where it was either Sweden or Finland, I forget. But they're really
Sweden.
good. Yeah,
I believe they're from Sweden. Yes.
Yeah, like melodic kind of black metal. The guy died though, the main guy.
He did. Yes.
Yeah,
And he
the
killed
main guy in
himself.
the band.
He's
Yeah,
just
and you
fucking
also
crazy.
you're and you do painting too. That's like your other thing as
Yes, I'm a painter and a guitarist.
well. Nice. So just tell us, I guess I know I introduced you a bit, but kind of introduce yourself too, and talk about like how you got into the different things you do.
Well, I studied art. I moved to New York to get my graduate degree at the New York Academy of Art. And I have a painting career that is going pretty well at the moment. My gallery is in Copenhagen, Denmark. And that takes up the majority of my time. There's deadlines to fulfill, and I'm basically in my studio most of the time creating work for that. And on the music side, I've been playing guitar for pretty much half of my life. Right now I'm really into fusion. I like a lot of technical type stuff. I usually play just practicing by myself, jamming to like backing tracks or whatever. Improvising is my main thing that I really like to do. It's very enjoyable. And that is how we met pretty much as Pinkman and the Brain. We went to the Funkadelic Jam just randomly.
Yeah. And then we all got put in the same jam room. It's like you go to the jam and then like there's different music. They set you up in different rooms with different musicians, and then we all ended up in the same room. It was me, you, and then there's Sandkit, the keyboard, and Ben, the drummer. And that now since then we kind of formed the band. So
yeah, we met once there, and it was completely random, and then we never stopped playing together, which is really great. Like, I'm glad that didn't end. We're still going.
And we have like different influences in there. I know you like metal too, but like it's more of like a jam instrumental kind of project we're doing.
Yes, for sure.
So your art career, like how did that start? Like how did you get into that, and like how did you end up making it your career?
Well, graduate school really helped me because before then, I studied illustration, which is great. I really needed to do that at the time. But I didn't really have an idea of what contemporary art was, or like how to make your own statement in a visual way. And that's what I learned with at the New York Academy, basically. And so when I got out, I sort of had a conceptual framework of how to communicate my ideas through painting. and how to put them in, the contemporary world, and, have them really mean something in that space. And it's an ongoing process. I mean, nothing is ever perfect. That can always be better. I feel like if you're complacent as an artist, then it's kind of like the death of your creativity. So every painting I make is I enjoy doing it, and when it's finished, I think this I'm glad it's finished. But the next one is always has to be better in some way. Trying to improve my ideas, and the work has changed over time because of that. But how I got into my gallery, which is called Gallery in Copenhagen, they recruit a lot of new artists from the New York Academy, from the school. Like, they go to the school and walk around the studios and see who might fit into their program. And so I had already graduated at the time. I was out of school for maybe like 3 or 4 years. And the gallery was there looking for new artists, and somebody at the school told me, like, look, you need to submit your work now. Send the email now, send your website. And so I did. I dropped everything like that day and just got that done. And it worked out. Like, they liked my work, and I started with a group show and sold some pieces there, and then gradually, like maybe 2 years later, I was like officially in the gallery. Like, I had a solo there, and it's been the same ever since. So I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah, and that was kind of your goal from the beginning with the painting, or did you?
Yes. There's really two ways to have gallery representation. One way is that you're recommended, and the other way is if the gallery approaches you. And that's if that happens to you, you're really lucky. I did a group show because the gallery contacted me and they wanted a piece, but normally that's kind of rare. And just in terms of like having a successful quote unquote art career, there's not really a correct way to do it, or like a set trajectory. It kind of, I don't know, like it kind of depends on how much time and effort you put into it, and like just be visible and going to openings and meeting people. It's really, this sounds cliche, but it's networking is like almost everything. And that's something I definitely have to work on. Like, I'm mostly just in my studio most of the time, and I should really be out more and being in New York and going to shows and stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't really communicate like the correct way to have an art career.
Yeah, well, I guess that's what you're saying. It's about networking, because I guess it's kind of like a solitary thing you do, but then like through that you still need the.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You still need to, like have people on your side, basically.
Yeah, and is there like a particular theme you do with your art, or is there like a certain style you go for that you're inspired by?
Oh, yes, and yes. So I paint animals almost exclusively. And the work has changed a little bit from when I started doing that, but I would say the style is realism. It's realistic, but it's also surreal, or like I would say it fits into pop surrealism. because I'm attracted to like strange color, like use of odd color. And in the past, I would sort of abstract the animal bodies, like, have them fragmented, sort of like in a like collage type style. And that was my way of really trying to communicate how animals and their identities really don't have any kind of relevance in our culture or society anymore. And so they really exist in our imagination. And because of that, the idea of what an animal is has become very surreal, like dreamlike. If you look at the representations of animals in like contemporary art, like other contemporary artists, what they're doing with animals, it's all like not rooted in something like, if you look at the old masters, like a still life, something that's like definitely concretely real. Animal representations now are usually always somehow abstracted into this weird connection between like, what does it mean to be a human being and see this animal, and what is the relationship between humans and animals? And sometimes it's environmentalism, like sometimes it's like just like strange like animal hybrids, humans like mutating into these weird creatures. And that's because we don't really have a place for the reality of what an animal is anymore. And I think that's fascinating. And my work is just, as I keep saying, like, I feel like it's always evolving, but what you can do with that concept is really anything. It's very open-ended.
So are you saying that you think animals are, like, you view them as oppressed in a way? Is that what you're saying? Like, they're not as...
I mean, that would be more like the environmentalism type discussion about what animals are and where they fit in society, which is true. The like preservation aspect of nature, but there's also this kind of ambiguity of where if the conversation is not about environmentalism, then what is it? And that trying to find like that connection between humans and animals, which doesn't exist anymore, breeds really a kind of visual ambiguity. Like, we don't know. Western culture is really divorced from nature, and then
just caught up in the rat race and that kind of thing, like the industrialization and everything.
Yes. Basically, if you're a hunter-gatherer, then you would have a realistic view. It's not romanticized in any way. Like, nature is your environment, and animals are what you depend on for your life. And they're not abstracted in any way. Like, one way that our culture really projects onto animals in a way that's very romanticized is that everything has to be cute. Like you see a bear at the zoo, and they train the bears to wave to the tourists. Have you seen those videos?
I think I've seen the bears waving, and someone once told me like, oh, they're abused to do that. Or
they wave, and then somebody throws food to them, and so they keep waving.
Yeah.
Or like they're like trained to do that somehow. And that animals in zoos are like an entirely different conversation, but that's one example of like how this monster, it's like essentially, if you see a bear in the wild, it's like this brutal like predator. And that's the reality of what a bear is. Like, you should be terrified by it, but here it is, like sitting in the zoo waving at you, and it's like becomes this like cute, you know, distortion of what this thing really is.
Yeah, it's like disconnected to. So you're saying it's disconnected, I guess, to how like humans would actually interact with the animal in nature. And that, yeah.
Yes, and how humans would actually interact with the animal in nature is never experienced by most people.
Yeah, and then I guess with pets, it's more domesticated. Like a dog's not like how a wolf would be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
People who like dress their pets up in like human clothes, like that's another example of what's happening here.
Yeah, though there are stories of like people in the wild like becoming a pack member. Like there's a lot, or like a kid being raised in a pack of wolves.
That's interesting too. That's like the opposite dimension of this. And then like if you're a kid and you're young enough and you're raised that way, then you never recover. Like there was this story of a Russian girl that was raised by dogs, and she never learned to speak, and she continued to act like a dog for most of her life.
Why? Because she was like she was like separated from her parents, and then I think I heard about that story. Didn't they do the movie with like Jodie Foster? So there was a movie about it somewhere, I think.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen the movie. But that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's kind of so are you like what is your view? Are you vegan or anything like that, or do you have a view about like eating animals?
No. I am against factory farming. I mean, I think that is a byproduct. What's happening to animals in factory farming is just a byproduct of, they're just objects to consume. And the industry has absolutely zero concern about their lives, which, especially with something like pigs are very intelligent, and they actually go insane in these little crates they can't even turn around in. Like that is just terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's why I find it like kind of hypocritical when people like they eat factory farm meat, but then they'll get on someone who hunts for food. Like I can understand like it's different than hunting for sport, but if someone like hunts for food and cooks their own meat, like in a way I find that more ethical to hunt and like cook your own meat than factory farming, because it's not being tortured, it's just out in the wild. And so it's like I always find that hypocritical.
I totally agree with that. That's like a very rational standpoint. Like if you're a hunter and you kill an animal, that the way that it dies is very humane. Like it's killed very quickly, especially with a rifle. And that is probably the best death it will ever have if it's shot by somebody. Because in the wild, going back to what we were talking about before, like the reality of the wild is just complete brutality. Like they suffer from disease and starvation, or they're killed by predators. So if you're somebody that's concerned with the well-being of animals, then it should probably be understanding of what hunting is.
Yeah, because that's what they do with like each other. It's more of a like a natural kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes, but I would not want to be eaten by bears.
Yeah, exactly.
If I were a deer.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess humans are kind of somewhere like in the middle, right between like a deer and a bear. Like, yeah,
I don't know if we have weapons.
yeah,
If we're just out there, then good luck.
yeah. Well, we definitely been more of a predator to the whole world though than bears.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I see what. Yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah.
Yes.
But you how did this, was there like something that inspired like the interest, like how did that develop, like did it, was that always like your inspiration with the art, or like was there something that inspired that like interest in animals?
I think it's just an extension of my personality. Like, I grew up pretty much in the rural area in the woods in New Hampshire, and I was always around animals. There were like deer and birds of prey and like all the little creatures running around, raccoons and stuff, fox. And I would just wander around the woods and like try to find like frogs and like insects and just like turning over rocks and like looking for stuff as a kid. And so, I mean, that that just sort of became part of that like appreciation of the natural world, I would say, is like just in me.
Yeah, so it comes from that. But then I guess it was there, is there things you like about the city still? Like I guess that's more where you went to do art and what you want to do. Like is there stuff you like more about it? Is there things you preferred about when you lived in a more rural area? Or
I really enjoy living in the city, just because it's so stimulating. There's never any really way to be bored around New York.
yeah,
Um, and at this point, like I feel like I really need that. Like I've been here for about 12 years, and in terms of being a creative person, like I feel like it's really inspiring because you're also around other creative people, and you have all of these museums and like resources, and like, you know, the opera is here and the ballet is here. So it's very inspiring to be around New York City. But I'm here with the background of living in a rural area. And I feel like that gives me a perspective that maybe someone who grew up in the city and has stayed there doesn't really have.
like I guess could you elaborate, like what ways, I guess, like what perspectives, I guess, like
Well, that's interesting. Um, Well, one way of becoming a naturalist or like an amateur naturalist is someone who appreciates learning about the natural world. The one way is to just directly be exposed to it really young. And so you just grow up that way. And I feel like if I didn't live in the woods as a kid, then maybe I would be a completely different person. Like I just would never have been exposed to what it's like to like live in that environment. And so, you know, being in nature is also really introspective as well. Like instead of like when I'm in the city, I feel like everything is so stimulating. Your focus is really extroverted. It's like focused on the outside world around you because there's just too much going on. Whereas in nature, it's your focus is really more inward. And you know, that's kind of a sentiment or idea that's been expressed through art for a long time. because it's kind of true. Like if you're just like, taking a walk in the woods by yourself, it's kind of a romantic thing to do, but it's also, it really is very introspective. Like you turn inward on yourself in a way that I don't know that I could do if I was just walking in the city.
So do you like a mix of both still? Like, do you still like returning to nature and returning to that sometimes to kind of get your head clear? Or
Oh yeah, for sure. I would like to at some point have a place, have somewhere to go in the country, like have a house in the country and then have an apartment in the city. But that is a long way off from now. But I can drive. I mean, I do have a car and there's some parks that I would like to go to and explore, and nature preserves that I would like to go to. I haven't done that yet. I think that'll be a good idea.
yeah, well, in New Jersey, you're in New Jersey. Well, you're in New Jersey, but close to New York, and New Jersey has like some places like that too. Yeah,
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah, but I think it's a mix of both is good. Like if it's good to have the introspection, but then you kind of got to bring that new insight into the world too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because if you just meditate and you're at peace, but then you don't interact with the world, then it's like it doesn't. Then it's just you. It's just you. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just you.
Yeah.
It could be just you for a really long time, which is,
Yeah.
it's not always maybe the healthiest thing to do.
Yeah. So you were like an area was like spread out. Like, was it one of those areas where it's like it's a long drive to get to like the next place, and they're
kind of. I mean, I was in a neighborhood, but the houses were really far apart, and in between the houses there was like just woods. So yeah, you couldn't really, each house was pretty isolated in its own way, but it was part of a larger neighborhood.
yeah. Was there any like culture shocks or anything with like coming to the East Coast? Or?
Coming to New York, yeah, well, definitely coming to New York because New York is so massive. And before that, I was living in Florida. Like I took 2 years off between undergrad and graduate school. So I was living in Florida, and we were in a place that was kind of, there's not much around. It was also kind of rural. So coming to New York was just like, what is going on? This is crazy. Yeah, but everyone basically, everyone that I was at school with was in the same situation. So we pretty much figured it out together. And that was helpful.
Nice. And so did you like, what was it like with music there and stuff? Did you find people to play in a band and stuff like that, or?
No, I mean, mostly when I was at school, like all I had time to do was just art, just school work. So I took a while off from playing guitar, a few years, but I still had it around. I just didn't take it very seriously. And then, no, I picked it up again a little bit later. It's like, I'm gonna actually try to learn some techniques that I'm interested in and try to slowly get better at this. And that's been really enjoyable. Like now I have my own studio space that I can play and nobody cares. Like the sound is fine. It's not very loud. So I do that much more regularly now than I used to. And like the Funkadelic thing, Funkadelic Studios, their open jam was really like one of the first things that I did in the city in terms of music, because it's every week. It's $10 You play for 4 hours. It's like, I don't know, like I think that's really cool that they're doing that.
Yeah, that was the first one I went to. That's why it was kind of interesting. Like I just saw it on Meetup.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was just kind of like this looks interesting. Like you play with other musicians. I was like, I guess I'll give it a try. And then yeah, then I ended up forming into the band and doing the jam band and all that.
Yeah. So that's so random. I'm glad we both went the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, I don't know, I really enjoy doing that.
Yeah. I feel like there's more things like that to try in New York. Like I'm trying to find more things like that in New Jersey, but it's like neat. Like I don't know. I find like when I just like try something like that, at least to like another experience I wouldn't expect or like something like that. So like those groups like open things where you just like an open jam or like an open mic or like improv or like something like that. You go to
Yeah. There are a lot of them. I've done maybe 3 other ones, but whenever I'm on stage, like some of them are, at least, well, the one that I went to was on an actual stage. And it was really, I was so nervous that I only did it one time and I never went back. But I feel like that's, you know, something to work on. It's like performing. Because most of the time I'm just like by myself. I would like to go out more as well.
Yeah, I feel like now I'd be more comfortable with like other kind. When I did a band like when I was younger and stuff, and like I was more shy on stage. Well, I was doing like the vocals, like the growling kind of thing, and then in high school I did like the guitar. But I feel like now I'd be more comfortable on stage because I've done it a lot with improv. So like just doing a lot of that kind of that was cool. Like that's like the main like on stage performance I've done like in the past few years, and I did an improv comedy team in 2019. I want to do like more acting's like another passion of mine, so I want to do like more like theater acting and stuff like that too. But,
that's awesome.
Yeah, because I've done
really
film,
cool.
but I feel like theater is like a little more like the actor's medium, so I want to explore that a bit more. Like there's more dialogue, it's more dramatic and stuff like that. So,
oh, that's cool. It's really exciting. I can imagine like improv, like acting improv. Like you have they give you a concept and then you just do it.
Yeah, you just go up on stage. Well, they do the jams. They do the jams at the Pit like every Friday. Like maybe you'd want to check it out like one of these days. It's right near Penn Station. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, 33rd and they do the Friday night jam where you just sign up and then anybody can go on stage and.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and I guess we kind of do like a musical improv in a way. That's how we kind of come up with like how would you? I guess we're like instrumental jam is kind of like what we.
Instrumental jam. I feel like we have some song structure happening, and the rest of it would just be whoever's taking a solo is just like winging it.
Yeah,
which is fun. I mean, I enjoy doing that. Not everyone does, but it's like one of my favorite things to do.
It's kind of like short instrumental like music is what I guess I describe it. Yeah.
For sure.
Yes. Sometimes it's fun to like play a style that you wouldn't necessarily like listen to on your own. Like sometimes just playing it can be different. Like I don't know. I haven't really heard a lot of bands like us, but like it's a fun style to play. Like I don't know who we'd be compared to though. Like as far as
I don't know. There are a lot of jam bands.
Like Explosions in the Sky. I think I listened to them a bit, aren't they? I don't know if we're like them though, but
I'm not familiar with them.
Yeah.
I feel like
but I feel like we're different than other jam bands because we do like really short songs. Like a lot of jam bands are like long, and we have a structure, so it's not totally a jam band. It's like we jam, and then it creates the song, and then it's like the instrumental song.
Yes. We like figure out the song through jamming, and then we're like, what is that for? That sounds cool. Let's put that in there. I like that.
Yeah, and I like that we're gonna add like samples into it too. That'll be cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I would want to do like another. Well, I have my solo project that I'm doing for fun, like kind of like Joy Division type music with the Insomniac AD. I have a couple more songs I want to record with that. I've done like some synth stuff. It would be fun to do a grindcore band again at some point. But
oh, sweet! Oh my god, grindcore.
like insect warfare kind of. Because I did it a bit when I was younger, but I don't know. Part of me like sometimes like I'm more mellow now than I used to be, but like sometimes I'll listen to like really fast stuff and it's like I want to do like another like really fast like Napalm Death kind of band and like
Yes.
have with like
Yes.
political lyrics or like and stuff like that. Like
Oh, that's sick. That would be really fun.
yeah.
Damn. So you did the vocals for
Nemesis
your
Complex, yeah.
former
That was a
metal
band I was in
band.
when I was younger. Then I did another project, Holy the Bastards, which was kind of like a sludge thing with my friend Chris Flynn, who listens to the show a lot. And then I don't know, then I kind of fell out of music for a while. And I was doing more like I did some of my solo project, but I did more like the acting and like the film stuff. And now recently back in a band again. So like since the first time and since I guess like my early 20s, like 10 years or so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I'd love to do that. I've always wanted to be to be in a metal band,
Yeah.
but
Well, who
it
knows?
hasn't
Maybe one
happened
day
yet.
we'll do like a grindcore band for
Oh my
fun or
God.
something. We find like a fast drum. We could do like insect. I think I showed you like insect warfare, and so
Yeah,
I
yeah, you
showed you.
did.
You said
That's
you
sick.
liked it, like Death Toll, 80K, and some of the
Hmm.
bands like that really fast. Like yeah,
Really, really short songs, very
yeah,
fast, very grindcore.
yeah, yeah. With
That'd
kind
be
of like a
cool.
punk like lyrics. Well, I mean, you can't really understand lyrics, but if you look at the lyrics, more like punk, and then like a punk attitude, kind of about more than like, but like with a lot of metal influence in there. I guess we talked about like what got you like how you're artistic. I guess with art we covered most, unless I don't know if there's anything else you could elaborate like with that.
Not really. I think we covered the
Yeah,
basics.
but the music, like how did that? Because I know you lived you where you grew up. Like you said, there wasn't a lot of people. Like I guess it would have been harder to jam with people regularly
Yeah.
there. So
Oh
like
yeah.
so how did your music? Actually, I think you said that you hadn't really been in a band before, right? You did more solo like before you did the band with us like
Yeah. No, I wasn't. Our band is really like the first official one that I've ever been in that is actually making an effort to practice and like follow through on something, because it's so hard to get people together. And when I was a kid, I started playing guitar, and then that inspired my younger brother to also pick up the guitar, and we would play together all the time. But I had a few friends that were also into music, and we would just like informally jam or like try to do something. But most of the time it was just me. And I would have, this is hilarious. There was no way, I didn't have recording equipment. There wasn't a way to like make a loop for me. So I had a tape player, and I would just record chord progressions into the cassette tape and just play it back and jam over that. So yeah, that was the beginning of everything
so to
musically.
kind of feel like you're practicing in a group but
Yeah,
not
just
exactly.
just to have like something to play over. YouTube didn't exist then, so
Yeah.
there wasn't really an easy way to get a backing track. And so I would make my own chord progressions and just record them and play and try to solo over that. So, and I'm still doing that now. I have a looper, and that's what I mostly do.
Nice. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out like how to do drum machine and stuff like that, and it's been easier to make my own music now with like LMMS Studios.
Okay.
That's I do like the drum machine
I
through
don't know that
that,
one.
and but like I have an SM57, so I don't know if it gives like the best. I might want to get like a better bass mic. I was into guitar for a while, but then like when I was a kid, it was more like when I was 13. I had the new metal like phase I went through, and I was like playing the seven
Yeah.
string, and then I don't know now it's. I mean, it's been a lot of years, so it's not like in the best condition. So like now I would eventually want to get like a new guitar and like then get back into guitar again. But then I kind of fell more into bass because like I just found like the bass easier to take care of and stuff. And I got real into like Sisters of Mercy and like a lot of like this 80s like bass, like heavy like stuff where like bass was like the main focus. And then I just got into the do 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 like in a lot of new wave and like 80s goth music. And I just got real into like stuff that was like really bass focused, and like a lot of older punk like had cool bass lines, and I liked like Black Sabbath's bass lines, so I just got
Yeah.
more into like bass in general. And that with Insomniac ID, most of the songs are kind of like the bass is the main focus. But I mean, I think the mic I have now gets a pretty good bass sound, but I don't know if I'll get like a better bass mic to like do more recording of that, to have more of like a presence with the bass. But we'll see.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, for sure. I don't know how you record a bass. Can you use a condenser mic to record bass?
Use a what?
A condenser mic,
Yeah,
like an
it'd be like
amplifier.
Well, yeah, it'd be. I think the one that's like the industry standard for bass is like the RE20. I think is, but I think that's like a very expensive mic. But maybe like someday I'd get it at some point. I don't know.
Interesting.
But like SMP, I used to like before I really knew what I wanted to do. I was like right out of high school. Like I started off when I went to community college. I was studying like music recording, and like I remember one of the things they taught us like was when you don't know what to do, use an SM57. So that's like kind of why I got an SM57, because I figured I can kind of just like record anything with it. So
yes, they're like the most standard thing ever. I also have one.
nice.
Yeah.
Have you recorded stuff with it? Like have you found it like a useful mic or?
Oh, I have, yes. It's good for acoustic recording, and I've used it on my amplifier as well. Trying to get a decent like distorted guitar tone recording one without like, if you don't have like Axe Effects or something insane like that. It's not easy. I don't have a really expensive DAW. I just have GarageBand and like some plugins that I bought, and I record my amplifier with the SM57, and I have a condenser mic, and then I put the plug-in on top of that signal, and then it sounds okay, but it's not professional by any means.
Yeah. I gotta think of a better word to say. Yeah, I'm taking in what the person says and just go yeah, and then it's like, wait, did I just agree to something? Like like you just said, it's not the most professional sound. I'm like, yeah, it's not. Like it was more just kind of like taking in like, okay, that's what she said. But yeah, because I was just thinking like how I gradually like with the podcast and everything. Now I got like a more professional mic. I got a booth I'm in. I got the light. It's just like I was just thinking like how gradually over time, like you're focused on something, you build it up kind of.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way to have better quality in the end.
Yeah. But the key is to just start, I had kind of a shitty mic when I started this podcast, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And then I just kind of kept going. It's like, the only thing is as long as you start, you don't have to have whatever you want to do. Like you don't have to have all the right things in the same place at the same time. You just got to start,
Oh yeah, for sure. That's starting is the hardest part.
Yeah. Like I bet like you probably with painting too, like you probably feel better about your paintings now than you did when you first started, I guess. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. You have to make hundreds and hundreds of terrible paintings to get somewhere that is consistent enough that you're like, okay, I'm comfortable with this. This is my thing now.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's just like that with it, because you learn through doing what you can it's good to take the classes and to learn and stuff or whatever you want to learn, but it's like it's through the doing I think you learn the most. Like, and then through your mistake, like if you do something shitty one time, then you learn to do it better the next. And I think that's what you were saying. Like you always never like be like, oh, I know it. Just be like always learning, kind of like always be like a student mentally.
oh yeah, for sure. With guitar especially, like the more I play guitar, it's like the more, oh my God, I don't know anything. I'm good enough at the things that I'm interested in doing, and that's fine. the rest of it I need to study a little bit more, but that's okay.
And you post a lot of solo videos, right, on your Instagram. That was another thing you were doing for a while, like guitar solos or.
Oh yeah, I I started an Instagram page just for guitar. And I have some videos up there, but I realized like creating a video every day it's not easy. Especially, I know it's only like a minute long, but being in the mood to play something every day and setting everything up and making a video was a little too time consuming for me. So I had that, and then I just stopped doing it for a while. I might keep posting those, but for now it's just there. For if I want to send somebody a video of me playing guitar, I could do it.
Yeah, and we mentioned at the beginning you were doing the dissection covers, like the metal.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and you were going to put the corpse paint on, and you were going to record.
No.
Yeah. Oh.
No, I don't need the corpse paint, but I have been working on a cover of "A Knight's Blood" by Dissection for a long time, and the music is done. The music is finally done. It's mixed. It sounds good enough. I have to record the vocals, and I have a good microphone for that. I just have to like psych myself into it. It's not easy. It is not easy to do that correctly, to scream or make the growling sounds, like the false chord scream. Yeah, I've done it before, but I just need to like calm down and stand in front of the microphone and not get nervous and like do it as best as I can. So yeah. then it'll be done.
Yeah, and how'd you get into metal? And is that like your main genre? I know you like a lot of different things, but
how did I get into metal? Oh my god, probably as a teenager. I mean, no one really told me what to listen to. I pretty much just found it. Maybe in college, I had friends that were also into metal. And we just exchanged bands back and forth. But yeah, it's pretty much been like since I was younger that I was into death metal, black metal, like heavy metal.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I also like jazz, like fusion and jazz right now. It's just, I feel like what I listen to and what I play on guitar are two different things.
So it's like instrumental jazz, or like the Louis Armstrong kind of jazz, or
like jazz fusion. Like, I don't know, are you familiar with Pat Metheny at all?
No, not too. Yeah,
he's a like fusion guitarist, but he's more on the jazz side of fusion. Guthrie Govan is maybe my favorite player.
Is this contemporary people, or is this like older?
Yes, Guthrie is contemporary. I don't know if Pat Metheny is still around. I'm not that familiar, but his playing is phenomenal. So Guthrie is maybe my main influence right now, and that's all. The fusion style is instrumental and very improv heavy, so that's what I like playing. But in terms of like metal, like you can't really, unless it's your song, I feel like playing metal is not very expressive. It's contained to the song. Like there's not a lot of improv involved in that.
Yeah,
but I enjoy listening to it.
Yeah, I think for me, like 13 is like when I started really getting into like metal, with like Sepultura was like the one, like was like the first band like I really became a big fan, and they're still like one of my favorites, like especially the older stuff like Beneath the Remains and Schizophrenia and that kind of stuff. I mean, I started with like the Chaos AD and Roots and all that stuff, but that was more like when I was 13, and then but I discovered like the older stuff like pretty early on like that, but and then I got into like Minor Threat and like that stuff in high school too. But I went through a bit of like a mallcore phase with like new metal and stuff. But then I don't know. Then eventually I outgrew that, and now it's more. Then I got more into like that and like other stuff. So
sweet.
Yeah.
What is your favorite metal band?
Either Sepultura or like Bathory, I think.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I like we've just established that I do like dissection, but I also like Opeth, like early Opeth.
Oh, I remember. I used to
Um,
listen to like more back in the like. Well, she was kind of new metal too. Like I kind of new metal. I kind of gravitated away from, but like I guess that's more like what I started with. It was like new metal kind of stuff when I was like 13. So yeah, I do remember her stuff though, but I haven't listened in a while. But
oh, there's another band called Otep. Is that what you're thinking of?
no, oh no, Tap. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I was thinking Tap. Path is more like progressive. Yeah. Oh, they sound very
yeah,
similar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the name is very similar.
Yeah.
I yeah, but Opeth is like progressive death metal, or at least they used to be progressive death metal. um, and I liked them during that era. That was one of the first shows I ever went to. I think was them. Yeah, I do like the prog metal type stuff, like technical death metal as well. Like,
do you like Gorguts?
I don't. I've heard of them.
Yeah,
I don't
you
know.
probably
music,
like Gorguts. Like they did like technical death metal. I guess that's what would be considered. Yeah, I like it, and their album "Considered Dead's good. But then they did like later stuff like Obscura. It was more like kind of different than that, more experimental than that.
That's cool. It sounds like I'd like it. I saw Necrophagist before they broke up.
Oh yeah, I remember that guy. The one guy, Muhammad was his name, right? The Necrophagia. He was one guy, right?
They're from Germany, I believe.
Yeah.
And I don't know the band members, but I remember being in Florida and seeing them because they were like, Carcass was the headliner and they played before Carcass. And I was like, damn, this is insane. I'm very glad I got to see them.
Oh yeah, I saw Carcass a while ago when they played with they did that tour with like Suffocation and some other bands and stuff. I like the old like Symphonies of Sickness. I like and that stuff. But
yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
It's very, that's what I like about death and black metal is the complexity. They're both expressive in their own way. Death metal is like Americans are good at death metal because it's very extroverted. It's very extroverted and direct and just like pummeling in your face type sound. We're not that good at black metal, or we can't really. I wouldn't say that. That's not fair to say. It's not impossible that like the American psyche can understand black metal. But it's not I feel it's more romantic and more European. But for those of us that do understand it, like it's enjoyable. Very atmospheric, it's very introspective.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on like the style of black metal too, because then there's like the raw kind that's just like Archgoat and stuff like that. Yeah.
There's a band called Darkened Nocturne Slaughter Cult from Germany.
Okay.
And
it's like super raw.
They sound a lot. It's like what?
It was like super raw kind of stuff.
Very raw, very fast, but it's also super complex and they sound a lot. They pull a lot of influences from this band that I'm forgetting. That's not very helpful to the conversation. But very odd time signatures, just like weird shit is coming out of this like very raw, like primitive sound, but it's also very complex, which is what I like about them. Like their drummer is insane.
A lot of the US death metal was like Florida had I think that's where Death is. Wait, is that where Death is from? Or
yes,
yeah.
I would have loved to see
Death
them.
is another one of my favorite metal bands too.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like the death metal band, and I like the punk band Death too from like the 70s too. If you look up the documentary, a band called Death, you'd find them interesting. But
I heard
Detroit, from Detroit. They were like one of the first like proto punk.
Okay,
bands. Yeah.
I've heard that they exist, but I don't know their music.
Yeah,
But yeah, Chuck Schuldiner is a genius, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, like Lepers, Scream Buddy Gore, I think is my favorite. The first one, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the first one.
Yeah.
I like Symbolic. Symbolic is maybe my favorite one.
Yeah.
My favorite album.
Yeah, I think I like the earlier stuff like the best, like probably that and like Lepers, like Scream Buddy Gore and like the thrashier kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah.
He definitely got more progressive as time went on.
Yeah. I don't know if there was anything else we didn't cover, but I think we covered a good amount of things and other things we didn't expect to cover too. So that's good.
Yeah, this was great. Thanks for asking me on your podcast.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, this was a good it's good to get back into this. You know, it was I think this is the first of the year, so it's good. It was
Cool.
good. And now I know stuff about you I didn't know about before. So yeah.
and you as well.
Yeah.
Fun. This is the first podcast I've ever been on.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad I'm glad to be the maybe you'll be on others. Who knows? Yeah.
Oh, maybe we'll see.
Let's see.
But yeah, this was super fun, and thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, it was a good chat. And where can people keep updated with your stuff?
Oh, okay. Have my art on my Instagram page. You could find it on Angela Graham Art on Instagram, and that is pretty much it.
And and Angela Grams is your name, or you just put Angela Grams because like Instagram?
It's Angela Graham, and Graham is spelled Gram. And just add art on the end.
Okay.
You'll find me.
Okay, yeah. I just didn't know if that was like your actual name that I put as the name in the episode, or like, or you put Angela Graham, like it's your Instagram. This is the Graham.
Oh no, that's my name.
Okay. Oh, it's just like a coincidence that it like fits with like Instagram, Angela Graham.
It works that way.
Nice.
For sure.
Nice. And you can follow BSing on Spotify, iTunes, BSing with Sean K. And I also have my blog, bsingwithseank.blogspot.com, and my main website, seankneese.com. And I have my Instagram, which has like everything I do. It has the podcast and everything else. SKNEESE 1989. Sneese 1989. Yeah. And that's about it for this episode. We'll catch you on the next one.
BSing with. BSing